evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and one of the big developments that happened today was that the monsoon finally arrived on the coast of Kerala. But what does this mean? Because there has been a prediction of a deficient monsoon. What does this mean for food production? We'll be talking about that to a special guest as well. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. Monsoon finally arrives on the Kerala coast. Government allays fears of agrarian crisis worsening, assures subsidies for farmers in case of deficient monsoon affecting the Kharif crop. NSCN-K group claims responsibility for the Manipur attack in which 18 Jawans were killed. The president urges check on such attacks with a firm hand. Dhaka is all decked up to welcome Prime Minister Modi on his two-day visit starting tomorrow. Key deals to boost economic and trade ties expected to be signed. Nestle decides to pull Maggi off shelves despite allaying concerns over its safety. Central Food Safety Agency finds overwhelming evidence of the product being unsafe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitches for a greener earth on World Environment Day, initiates program to plant trees across the country. A focus story for this evening. The monsoon has finally hit the coast of Kerala today, 4 days behind schedule though. Now, the Met Office says favourable conditions will push it further inland over the parts southern states in the next 48 hours. With the prediction of a deficient monsoon though this year, the government has assured subsidy on diesel, power and seeds to farmers if the crops are affected.
This is a sight that brings relief to not only those affected by the intense heat wave but also for millions of farmers across the country. Monsoon has arrived in Kerala, though late by 4 days. If all goes well, monsoon rains should reach the rest of the southern states by the weekend.
We can say during next 2 to 3 days there is the good rainfall activity likely over Kerala, even in Karnataka, even in Konkan, Goa and Madhya Maharashtra. Even that may be the pre-monsoon shower because the monsoon is not there. So we can say the initial stage of the monsoon progress will be good over Karnataka and South Andhra Pradesh and northeastern states.
The forecast of a deficient monsoon has raised concerns of farmers already affected by the unseasonal rains earlier this year. However, the government assures it is ready to tackle any situation if monsoon plays truant.
अभी हवामान खाते ने 2 महीने पहले बोला था कि बारिश 100% से ज़्यादा गिरेगी. अभी वही हवामान खाता ये बोल रहा है कि बारिश 80% गिरेगी. तो शेतकरी ने अभी किसान ने पूरा खेत तैयार किया है और वो जो बता रहे कम बारिश आएगी या ज़्यादा आएगी तो एक उनमें करेक्ट ही होना चाहिए. तो किसान को मालूम होता है कि अपने खेत में कौन सी फसल लगाना है.
हम हर तरीके से मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड रहे कि कोई अगर मान लीजिए आवश्यकता पड़ती है. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री तो ऑलरेडी उसके लिए इतने ज्यादा यानी प्रिडिक्शन करने से पहले ही जो है उन्होंने तो हमारे को कैबिनेट मीटिंग में सब लोगों को सब विभागों को कहा कि भाई सब अपनी अपनी. आपने देखा कि एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर ने भी कहा कि पर्याप्त हमारे पास फूड ग्रेन्स है, सब चीजें हैं, कोई किसी तरह की कोई पैनिक का तो कोई कारण नहीं है.
To allay fears of a bad crop year, the centre has promised to offer subsidy on diesel, power and seeds to farmers. Dismissing concerns, the government assured that it is fully prepared to face a drought-like situation.
मैंने बताया कि बिजली के भी कंटीजेंसी प्लान बन गए हैं और राज्यों के लिए पहले ही से अधिक एलोकेशन है. ये स्थिति होती है तो बिजली चालित पंपों को और उस पर हम कुछ रियायत भी देते हैं. डीजल पर भी रियायत हो तो अलग विषय है. हाँ बिल्कुल डीजल पर, बीज पर, चारा पर, सब पर राज्य सहायता देंगे.
Unseasonal rains earlier this year badly damaged Rabi crop, causing massive loss to farmers across the country. The government will soon decide on minimum support prices for Kharif crops, which the farmers have already started to sow. The centre will be keeping its fingers crossed that El Nino does not impact the monsoon any further this year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
There's not much you can do about a deficient monsoon if it happens, but there is shoring up that is needed as far as food production is concerned. And we're joined by senior journalist Priranjan Das to help us understand the extent of, is there a crisis that we are facing if there is a deficient monsoon first of all?
There is
I wouldn't call it a crisis because the impact of drought on the economy as such is, over the years, the economy has been rather resilient to weather conditions. That is primarily because the economy has grown much more larger and the share of agriculture has been steadily dropping to 13% now. And so the economic impact as such may not be huge like it used to be in, say decades ago. But the social and the human impact of a drought cannot be ruled out, considering that so many people are dependent on the rural economy and in agriculture in particular.
All right, so in terms of terms such as rural wages become very important. Also, as far as the minimum support price is concerned, especially for that kharif crop, that becomes critical at this juncture, doesn't it?
Yes, it is, because overall we have seen that for the last couple of years, and particularly this year, the minimum support price for the farmer has not gone up. In fact, inflation indexed, there is a negative, increase or a fall or a decline in MSP for most crops. That being so, farmers' income has been under distress, under pressure. And the rural economy in general, incomes there and wages in rural India have not grown the way they were growing in recent years. Now, given that the rural economy is in distress, and so on top of it, now if it is a drought year, that's going to accentuate the situation.
All right, so in terms of the larger agrarian crisis that we are talking about, Mr. Priyajandas, explain those to us, because there was that unseasonal rainfall that hit the rabi crop. The deficient monsoon could hit the kharif crop. Agricultural production, I mean, we might have the reserves right now, but with, as you were saying, the large amount of population that is dependent upon agriculture as its livelihood, how big an agrarian crisis are we staring at, and are there enough steps and measures in place to help tackle that?
So the agrarian crisis, if you look at it, the big picture is one of lack of public investment in agriculture over the years. Investments haven't gone into irrigation, haven't gone into land development, which were very crucial. As a result, we are in a position that if there is fluctuation or deficient rainfall or floods, or any kind of weather condition, the agriculture is that much less prepared to take the impact. Now, that is the main problem to my mind, that public investment in agriculture haven't really kept pace with investment that has happened in other sectors of the economy. Also, agriculture sector largely has been bypassed by reforms that we have seen in other sectors of the economy. These are the primary reasons for the crisis that we see in agriculture today. Then, of course, we've had recent issues, whether it was unseasonal rainfall and hailstorm during the Rabi. But these kind of things, which are indications of climate change, are going to become more frequent in that's what is anticipated in future years. Now, to tackle that, the kind of long-term steps that were required to be taken, I am afraid, are not, we as a country have not been taking those steps.
All right, so in the near future, of course, we seem to be food secure, but in the longer run, if you do not take those long-term measures and long-term planning, it could really affect agriculture. Thank you very much, Priyajandas, for coming in and helping us understand this a little better. Well, moving on now to the horrific incident that happened in Manipur yesterday. Naga insurgent outfit NACN Khaplang has claimed responsibility for the attack in Manipur, in which 18 army jawans were killed. Now, the group which the centre abrogated ceasefire this year claimed a joint operation Kangle Yavol Kana Loop and Kangle Park Communist Party. Meanwhile, the army chief has rushed to Manipur as forces have launched a massive manhunt to nab the militants.
A day after a group of militants ambushed the 6th Dogra Infantry Regiment of the Army in the remote Chandel district in Manipur, NSCN Khaplang Group has claimed responsibility of the attack. In a release to media houses, it claimed that they attacked the army convoy with members from two other groups named Kangli Yawol Kana Loop and Kangli Park Communist Party. 18 soldiers were killed in the attack and over 10 were injured. The bodies of the martyrs will be flown out of Imphal on Saturday on a special IAF plane to their native places for final rites. The army chief rushed to Manipur a day after the attack. The state government has already done a preliminary inquiry.
Manipur side government side the ngarang maksi mokoi FIR kan tawda case restart tawre adiga on the spot inquiry ko kan tawre ago mare gi SDPO simba adiga tenopol gi osi gi yawdo namum septana ko sport inquiry chalu re mokoi nona mokoi case restart tawre adu buling mam khatam tadan tatto ko problem do mokoi asana from the army kusam
Condemning the ambush, the president has urged to check such attacks on security forces with a firm hand. Army is expected to launch a massive counter-insurgency operation. It has already been conducting search operations to trace and eliminate the militants involved in the attack in Chandel, which is 2 hours on foot from the Myanmar border. The border has been closed, but the security agencies fear the attackers may have crossed over. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will begin his 2-day visit to Bangladesh tomorrow. Buoyed by the land agreement deal, the two sides would look forward to boost economic and trade ties further. However, the centre has clarified that the crucial Teesta water deal will not be finalized during this visit.
Bangladesh capital Dhaka is all decked up for the upcoming visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Big posters of Modi and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina have been put up and a grand reception is planned for him when he arrives on Saturday. Expectations are riding high after the long-pending land agreement deal was sealed during the budget session.
After 41 years, the historic LBA, that is Land Boundary Agreement, that has been ratified by the Indian Parliament. And we have seen how the leaders across the political divide, they have said about Bangladesh. They stressed on a new relationship to start with. And I think that this spirit will lead us to resolve other issues, including the Teesta River and border issues and everything.
Boosting economic engagement and expanding security cooperation are likely to be the major focus areas during Modi's visit. Both sides are likely to sign a number of deals. The Prime Ministers of the two countries and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will flag off 2 bus services connecting the northeast through Bangladesh. India hopes that with the border issue finally settled, Bangladesh will help in dealing with illegal cross-border activities.
For both countries, we expect improvement of the security situation on the border. There will be more trust and confidence. We think that it would be much more effective for us to deal with illegal activities across the border.
Despite the success of the land boundary deal, the key Teesta water agreement will not materialize during the Prime Minister's visit. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee had earlier resisted the deal during the UPA regime. Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.H. Mahmood Ali assured that talks are on at diplomatic level and the deal may soon be finalized. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, days after controversy over the safety of one of the most popular brands erupted, Nestle has reacted. The company's global CEO has asserted that Maggi noodles are safe to eat. Nestle's clarification comes in a day when the Central Food Safety Regulator, FSSAI, ordered to withdraw 9 variants of Maggi from the market.
The Maggi noodles in Nestle India are safe for consumption.
More than a week after the controversy erupted, Nestle has come out with a clarification. But even as they claimed the instant noodles were safe for consumption, they withdrew the product from the Indian market.
Thank you very much. Trust has been shaken and therefore is not conducive, we felt, to have our product on the shelf. And it is now our intention, and with the consumer in mind, that we're going to work and do everything in our what it takes, everything what it takes, to work also and to clarify with the authorities the situation and to have the Maggi noodles back on the shelves.
The decision to withdraw came after Maggi was banned by several other states. Central Food Safety Agency FSSAI says tests have found overwhelming evidence that Maggi is unsafe.
जो सेफ्टी स्टैंडर्ड्स के दृष्टि से जो रेगुलेशंस हैं उसका वायलेशन हुआ है, लेबलिंग रेगुलेशंस हैं उसको मैगी ने फॉलो नहीं किया है, इसलिए उसके बारे में भी उनसे कहा है कि इसको भी रिकॉल कर लें। और मैगी ओट्स मसाला नूडल्स एंड टेस्ट मेकर यह भी प्रोडक्ट बगैर अप्रूवल के मार्केट में आया था।
FSSAI ordered recall of 9 variants of Maggi noodles on Friday as many more states banned the product. Nestle shares traded off the day's low on Friday after falling as much as 5%. This week, Nestle has fallen 15% because of the controversy. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now let's look at some news and updates from across the country and nationwide. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha filed nomination for by-election to RK Nagar Assembly constituency today. Thousands of AIADMK cadre gave her a rousing reception all along her way to the office of the returning officer. She needs to be elected within the next 5 months to keep the Chief Minister's post. Jai returned as the Chief Minister after 8 months after the Karnataka High Court acquitted her in a DA case. Police resorted to water cannons to disperse C groups staging a protest outside Congress headquarters in Delhi today. They were protesting against reported clean chit to party leader Jagdish Taitla in the 1984 riots case. Protesters gathered raising demands for action against Taitla. They also sought resignation of Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Jammu and Kashmir State Police has clamped Section 144 in Jammu a day after a youth was killed and 7 injured in clashes with the police. Several protesters took to the streets for the third day today over removal of posters of Khalistan militant leader Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale. Curfew-like situation prevailed and violence hit areas of Satwari, Rani Bagh, Gadigar, RS Pura belt as well. Time for us to take a quick break, but coming up on the other side, the US reports a massive breach of personal data of over 4 million government employees, suspects Chinese hackers. Also on the other side, all the sports, Serena Williams to take on Lucy Safarova in the French Open women's singles final. More on that on the other side.
Midday meals for school children. 120 million beneficiaries. State approaches to the program vary, as does the menu and food mix. Who should have the final say on this? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, President Pranab Mukherjee returned to India late last night, winding up the two-nation tour to Sweden and Belarus. The visit was aimed at strengthening India's bilateral economic ties with both countries. It was the first visit by an Indian head of state to either country.
On the first leg of his two-nation tour, President Pranab Mukherjee visited Sweden. While in the country, President Pranab Mukherjee held delegation-level talks with Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven, discussing bilateral and multilateral issues. India and Sweden signed agreements for cooperation in the field of micro, small and medium enterprises, besides an agreement on visa exemption for diplomatic passport holders.
Sweden is an important partner with whom we have shared multifaceted and mutually beneficial relations over several decades. Combining Swedish resources with India's young and growing market offers synergizes that can spark a fresh phase of growth.
In Belarus, on a two-day visit, the President signed 7 MOUs between India and Belarusian universities and institutes. Calling his trip to the country fruitful, the President said Belarus was a key partner for India.
Belarus is a key partner in the wider Eurasian region with many strengths. India-Belarus relations are based on goodwill among our people for each other and a legacy of cooperation in multilateral fora, including at the United Nations.
Belarus is pressing for greater Indian investments in the manufacture of pharmaceuticals. Several commercial agreements were also concluded, and the two countries have set a target of $1 billion bilateral trade in the next 5 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, pitching for a greener earth, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took the lead in the government's program to plant trees on World Environment Day today. A host of ministers and prominent citizens also took up the initiative across the country. One of the largest carbon emitters in the world, India is home to some of the most polluted cities. It is expected to announce a cut in carbon emissions during the crucial climate talks in Paris later this year.
मैं आज पर्यावरण दिवस पर देशवासियों को यही प्रार्थना करता हूं कि इस मॉनसून में हम भी हर परिवार के अपने वृक्ष हो.
7 billion dreams, one planet, consume with care. Prime Minister Narendra Modi endorsing this year's theme for the World Environment Day. The PM started the plantation drive by planting a sapling at his Racecourse Road residence lawns. He also placed an earthen pot along with the sapling, a traditional way of conserving water and ensuring that sapling has regular water supply.
हमारे पूर्वजों ने हमारे लिए किया, हमारी जिम्मेवारी है आगे वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए हम कुछ करके जाएं.
Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal also took to the drive by leading his cabinet colleagues and state government officials in taking a pledge to support environmental conservation. He also planted a sapling at Delhi Secretariat. The Environment Ministry has invited eminent sportspersons like Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli and Sushil Kumar to participate in country-wide sapling plantation drive.
पेड़ लगाकर इस मुहिम का प्रारंभ किया है. मुझे बहुत खुशी में यहाँ पे आया और मैंने पहला पेड़ लगाया.
Reports suggest that India has some of the world's most polluted cities. WHO had ranked Delhi the most polluted city in the world. India's participation in the upcoming climate summit in Paris will be closely watched this time around. India is expected to announce cut in carbon emissions following footsteps of US and China. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some international news now. The United States today reported a massive breach of personal data of over 400 million government employees. US investigators suspect Chinese hackers to be behind the cyber intrusion. Meanwhile, China has dismissed the allegations, saying that they're not irresponsible.
The US has reported a massive cyber attack on 4 million government employees from nearly every government agency, the biggest breach ever of the government's computer networks. The US has traced the breach to the Chinese government, claiming hackers working for the Chinese military are behind it. It is not clear what the purpose of the database is. China has refuted allegations, saying that they are baseless and irresponsible.
类似的报道、类似的言论，近期我们看的比较多了。但是它科学吗？我们讲，网络黑客攻击，它具有
America discovered the breach in April during an updation of its cybersecurity systems. The information stored on OPM databases includes employee job assignments, performance reviews and training programs. OPM serves as a human resource department for the US government. This is not the first cyber intrusion into the US database. Earlier in November 2014, a hack compromised files belonging to 25,000 employees of the Department of Homeland Security, as well as thousands of other federal workers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
More international news in Global Buzz now. Greece has delayed a key debt payment to the International Monetary Fund today. The IMF said Greece planned to bundle 4 payments due in June into a single 1.6 billion euro lump sum, which is now due on the 30th of June. But it's the first time in 5 years that the crisis that Greece has postponed a repayment on its 240 billion euro bailouts from the Eurozone governments and the IMF. The Chinese cruise ship that went down with over 400 passengers has finally been hoisted out of the waters of the Yangtze River today. Authorities say 5 days after the tragedy, there are no more chances of finding any more survivors. Just 14 out of the 456 passengers and crew are known to have survived China's worst shipping disaster in more than 60 years. The death toll from an explosion at a gas station in Ghana's capital Accra has climbed to 150. The explosion was caused by a fire that erupted in a nearby lorry on Wednesday night and then spread to the gas station and other buildings in the city. Ghana's president described the loss of life as catastrophic and announced 3 days of national mourning from Monday. Time now for all the sporting action in Sports Beat. Indian shuttler Puripalli Kashyap stunned world number 1 Chen Long to enter the semi-final of the Indonesia Open Super Series. After going down 14-21 in the first set, Kashyap staged a phenomenal comeback to win the next 2 sets, 21-17, 21-14. This was Kashyap's second win over Chen. World Football's governing body, FIFA, faces more pressure after it confirms that it paid Ireland's Football Association $5 million to avoid a legal case over a controversial World Cup playoff defeat in 2009. Ireland were knocked out by France in a two-legged playoff to qualify for the 2010 Africa tournament. The decisive goal was scored after a handball by French striker Thierry Henry in extra time. World number 1 Serena Williams fought back from a set down to beat Timea Brzezinski to reach the French Open final. Despite struggling with illness, the top seed won 10 games in a row to win the match 4-6, 6-3, 6-0. She will meet Lucy Safarova in Saturday's final. American sprinter Justin Gatlin broke Usain Bolt's Rome Diamond League record after winning the 100 meters in 9.75 seconds. The 33-year-old surged clear of the field to record the 7th fastest time in history, eclipsing Bolt's time of 9.76 seconds set in 2012. This was Gatlin's 3rd successive win at the Rome Golden Gala. That's all from us. Goodbye.